Hi, I'm Chris from HomeCode, here to help you with using coding in your teaching because it makes thinking visible. First, there's someone here who'd like to make you laugh.
Where does Santa stay on vacation? At a hotel.
I don't get it. I don't believe in you. Finding humor in situations is one of those important habits of the mind that successful people just seem to have. In this lesson, we'll be doing so. And we'll also learn about storytelling and sequencing. And of course, we'll be using code to do so. In fact, we'll be using that free coding tool that I love so much, Scratch. Here are the knowledge, skills and values that we really want our children to have as outcomes of this lesson. The knowledge is that a pun is a play on words. Skills will be finding humor in situations and sequencing. And the values that we want to have are helping people when they are feeling down, when they need a bit of upliftment. And of course, communicating with creativity. Before we get onto the code, just a reminder that there is a full lesson plan that can accompany this video, which is available on my teacher marketplace. And on there, you'll find thinking routines, reflection activities, and a step-by-step with pictures that you can print out for your learner, and a teacher page or a parent page for you. If you are a parent and you would like to have online coding lessons, then please do check out the HomeCode online school, which I ran, and we look at really exciting and cool topics like storytelling with coding and music with coding and space exploration with coding. You can check out homecode.co.za. Otherwise, all of these things are linked in the description below. As with most lessons, we'll be using the MIT developed Scratch, which is just incredibly fun, open, allows for collaboration and all sorts of stuff like that, which is very, very cool. So here is an example project from this. I'm going to be taking you step by step through this one, which when we push the green flag, we have Avery walk on over. Hey D, what's up? We can obviously change the timings for these. Hey Avery, I'm just confused about something. What? Oh, I just got fired from the calendar factory. That's not good. Why? I don't know. All I did was take a day off. And then a comical sound in there for good effect. Okay, let's go through this step by step. What's cool about this is when you're done with this, you're going to have basically a template for telling any joke or for really storytelling. So let's start a brand new project by clicking on create. Whenever you create, you've got Scratch the cat who pops in here. We're going to start from scratch by clicking X over there. Okay, let's choose a backdrop. Okay, so I'm going to be choosing this mural street scene over here. There it pops up nicely. Now, for sprites, while we only have 2 characters, we're actually going to be using 3 sprites, which is going to be a very cool little coding technique that we'll use, and it looks kind of like magic. We're going to first use Avery walking. We'll also have Avery talking. And then we are going to have D. Now, where did D go? He was just a little bit further down there. D is, you'll notice that D is facing the wrong way. We'll sort that out just a little bit later. You'll also see that they look completely out of proportion. Now, we could do them down here, but I kind of like them here up on the sidewalk. So to change their sizes, I've got to make sure that I have them selected, and I can click on size over here. I'm going to set them at, Avery will be at 40, oh, not 280, but 40, and D, who I think is just a little bit taller, is 45. So now we have all of our characters over here. Let's start off with Avery walking because she's going to be there at the start. We'll start with an event. Remember, an event tells us when something should happen. Whatever we attach to the event is going to happen when, for example, when the green flag clicked. Now, when I click it, obviously nothing happens because nothing is attached over there. So first thing that we want Avery to do is to go to a specific position so that when we start the program, she is in the same place. I'm going to have her starting just over here, and I'm going to change this to -120 and nicely on the sidewalk at maybe 15 about. Let's see when I click the green flag. Yep, there we go. I like that. She is just over there. We are going to use a repeat loop, and that's going to help us with having Avery animated and walking across to this position over here. To get my repeat block, I go to Control and I drag in repeat. I'm going to have the code inside here repeat 20 times. Now, I know I'm going through this really quickly. Remember, the lesson plan is available and you can just kind of pause along the way or watch this whole thing and just see what the code looks like right at the end. Now that we've got her there, we want her to move a few steps. I'm going to say 5 steps, and to go to her next costume. Now you're going to see if I do this, it looks actually pretty funny. But we don't want it to just look like that. We're going to have a little bit of a break in between. So to do that, I'm going to drag in a wait block, and we're going to set this to 0.1 seconds. You can see already that's working just a little bit nicer over there. It looks a little bit more natural. That next costume block that I got, you're going to see we're going to be using quite a few of these, are here in the Looks tab. Okay, so that's working nicely so far. But what we want is for her to show up when our program starts and to disappear, so that we don't have two Averys kind of overlapping over there. So we are already here in the Looks tab. I'm going to make sure that she is showing when we start and hiding at the end, so that when she walks along, then she disappears, but that every time I start the program, then she shows up again. We also want all of our sprites to really be able to communicate with each other. Now, Scratch has a really awesome function for this, and that is broadcasting messages. When you think about broadcasting messages, think about sending secret letters that are kind of sent out, but if somebody's not expecting that letter, they'll never get them and they won't do anything. With these messages, when they are sent and when they are received, we want to make sure that our characters are actually doing something with it. So I'm going to bring in, under events over here, a broadcast message. I'm going to make a brand new message, and I'm going to call this message show Avery. I'm not just going to use message 1, message 2, because then if something goes wrong along the way, I want to be able to see exactly where it is going wrong. So giving these very concise names is going to help you a lot in the long run. Very quickly, let's just check that this Avery is in the right sort of place. Yeah, she looks good over there. So we've got when the green flag is clicked, then Avery walks along and stops over there and disappears. Now we have Avery over here who's showing up all the time. We obviously don't want that. We want at the start of the program for her to be hidden. And when she receives the show Avery message, then we want her to show up. So let's drag that in there and let's see if this is working nicely so far. So we have Avery walking over, and it seems like it's the same sort of thing, the same sprite, but it is actually a completely different one over here, which is very, very cool. Okay, so now that we've got that working, we don't want her to just show, we want her to switch between costumes. Now, costumes can be thought of as frames of animation. We've got Avery showing up in 2 different ways over here, and we want Avery to be having a talking one, which we can see over here is Avery A, and a listening one, which I would say is Avery B over there. So we want her to, we want to make sure that Avery is listening, in the talking costume over here as she starts, because she is going to say, what about hey D, what's up? And then when she is listening, we want her to swap back to, oh, there we go, already, Avery B. So let's just quickly see what that looks like. Once again, Avery walks over, says, hey D, what's up? And then swaps back to that costume. Now, for your longer jokes, for all those sort of things, you can just change how long she says it or how long D says it. Now that Avery has said all this, we want her to broadcast a message that D will pick up on and then respond. So let's quickly actually create just all of our broadcast messages. Now there are going to be quite a few that we do along the way. So we're just going to set them up now. We're just going to set them up now, and they might not all make sense immediately, but you'll see this is just going to make the process a whole lot quicker. So we're going to have a new message that is to D1, which will be the kind of the first one that's used. And then we are going to have ones where D is sending messages back to Avery. Let's just set them up. Don't worry if it doesn't make a whole lot of sense now, but it will make a lot more sense as we go through this. So then we'll also have to D2, we'll have to Avery 2, and then the last one that we'll have is to D3. Again, this is going to make a little bit more sense as we go along. We want this one to go to D first one. So the first thing that Avery is saying to D. Now let's get D sorted out here a little bit. He's facing the wrong way. In order to resolve that, we're going to go over to costumes. And you can see D is facing that way. In order to flip him the correct way, we're going to say flip horizontal. And I'm also going to do that for DE because these are the two costumes that we're going to be using for D. There are these other ones, and I suppose you could use these, but I like these ones for thinking and for speaking. Okay, so D, when we first start, we want D to be on this costume over here, which is D. Which is his thinking one. To preview what some code does, so you don't have to run through the whole thing each and every time, you can just click on it here. So there we can see that's what D will be doing, and that looks great. I think that all looks all right. Okay, now we can start using our events over here, our broadcast messages. So when D receives, when he receives D1, then we want him to switch to his talking costume, which is DA, to say his first line, which is going to be, "Hi, Avery. I'm just confused about something." Okay, and that's a little bit longer, so I'm actually going to change that to maybe 3 seconds. And then once he is all done talking, then we want him to swap back to his thinking one, and then to broadcast another message. Now it seems to not have saved. Oh, it didn't save all those other messages that we weren't using yet. So let's just create another one over here again. So this will be to Avery 1. Okay, so this is a message that's going to be sent back to Avery. Now, for the very efficient code part over here, so that we don't have to drag all this in and repeat this again and again and again, we can go up to our events over here, right-click it, and click Duplicate. Now we're able to move this around and click where we want it to go. Now we can change this to when I receive to Avery 1. I'm going to take out show. Whenever we want to delete code, we can just drag it out over there. And then otherwise, this is all basically right. We want her to switch costume Avery A, where she's talking, then to say this and say, what? You know, what are you wondering about? What are you confused about? And then another new message, which will be to D2. And let's just quickly see if this is all working so far. So Avery walks over. Hey D, what's up? And then he says, "Hi Avery, I'm just confused about something." And then she says, "What? Great, this is working all quite nicely. Let's go back to D and again, right click and duplicate and change this to when I receive to D2. And she says, and then D will say, "Well, I got fired from the calendar factory. And then we want him to send to Avery. Oh, it's not doing it. To Avery 2. Okay. And then when we'll duplicate this again, when Avery receives to Avery 2, then she'll say, that's terrible. Why? And then D will come in with the punchline. Let's duplicate this one again and say, maybe, I don't know. All I did was take a day off. Haha, very funny. And we're not going to have him send any more messages over there. But what we do want to happen is a bit of a comical effect, a bit of a comical sound in there. We will be using the sounds, but first we need to actually find the sound that we want to use. So up here, we're going to choose sounds, and we'll click choose a sound, and we're going to search for drum. Obviously, you can choose whichever one you want, but I'm going to choose this drum boing, which sounds like that. Once we have it in here, any sounds that we use, we can just import really into here. No, we want that entire thing. And then we can come back to our sound section over here and say, play sound drum boing until done. Let's see if that all works now. Avery walks on over. Hey D, what's up? Hi Avery, I'm just confused about something. What? I don't know, all I did, oh, whoa, that went completely wrong. Okay, so now we can have a quick look to see what's going wrong. Well, if we look carefully, we can see that D is performing both of these actions based on the same event. So what we really need to happen is for Avery over here to not be broadcasting to D2, but to D3. So we missed out an entire broadcast message, and then we can say when I receive to D3, then that's what should happen. Last quick check to see if that is all working. I expect so. Hey D, what's up? Hey Avery, I'm just confused about something. What are you confused about? Well, I got fired from the calendar factory. That's terrible. Why? I don't know. All I did was take a day off. Very funny. Now, what's very cool about this again is that you can go in and just change any of this text, and then you've got the templates for making your very own jokes. I hope you enjoyed that one as much as I did. If you've got any other topics or subjects that you would like to have covered for whatever age, then please let me know in the comments below. Until next time, keep exploring.